Today we're going to get started with a real quick warm up. 3.5 divided by 2. We're going to use our mixed number multiplication method, or I'm sorry, mixed number division method to um, find the answer to this problem. But first, we're just going to try and attack this from a conceptual standpoint. And so the first thing I like to do is always think about fractions and money, since that's probably how you're going to use this the most as an adult. And so if I have $3.50. I'm just going to make 3 boxes here with $1 in each box. And if I have 3 whole dollars, and then I have 2 quarters, I would have $3.50 or $3.50. And so my question is, it's 25 cents here and another 25 cents here. My question is, if I'm going to divide these into 2 groups, how much goes into each group? Right? So I might say, all right, well, it's real easy to divide $1 in half each. Get this red pen out here. Divide that $1 in half, we'll cut it right in half, and each person gets 50 cents. Or they might get 2 quarters. So I've got 2 quarters or 1/2. And I'll do that for both sides of this first dollar. And 25. And so I would repeat this process 3 times. So I've already done it once. We'll do it again here. I'm going to take this 50 cents, 50, 50 cents here. These are our halves. And then we're going to turn it into quarters. 25 and 25. I'm going to get these out of the way. We'll draw those down here. Make that a little easier to deal with there. Okay, I got some room to draw here. Do this, 25. And we'll do another 25 here. And we'll repeat this one more time for the last dollar. Draw my line in half. And got that. 50 more cents here. 25 cents. 25 cents. 25 cents. You can see this takes a really long time. And I think that's really what we're going to be focusing on today. How do I take something that makes sense and use a different way to solve so that I'm more efficient and I can take less steps? It's really what we're after today, because this takes forever. And I got my 25 cents, my 2 quarters left. Add those back in down at the bottom here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to count my 50-cent groups first. Then I'm going to count my 25-cent groups second. Okay, so I need to make 2 even groups here, right? So I could take these half dollars, 1 right here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and these 2 would make 7. I could have 7 halves. 7 half dollars. That would be my 50-cent group count, right? Or I could count the quarters that I have in groups of 2. So I've got 1 quarter, 2 quarters, that makes one group. 3 quarters, 4 quarters, that makes another group. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This one gets cut in half, 13, and this one gets cut in half, 14, because I'm making 25-cent groups. So how many 25-cent groups do I have? I have 14 25-cent groups or quarter groups, 14 fourths. And so you can see 7 over 2 is equal to 14 over 4. They're the same fraction, just renamed. So when I come out to write my mixed number, I take 7 divided by 2, or I take 14 divided by 4 to get my answer. And that is how we divide those into groups. Okay, so now that I've renamed these fractions, I'm going to go ahead and divide them. I'm going to take this 14 fourths here, because that's what our extra change is. It's in fourths. And so it's going to be easier to divide everything if you have a common coin that you're using. And I'm going to divide that 14 fourths into 2 separate jars here. So that I can divide them equally into 2 groups. So every time I put a quarter in each jar, I'm going to cross out one of the 25s. So I'm going to cross out this 25 here, and I'm going to put a quarter in for there. It's a tally mark for a quarter. I'm going to cross this 25 out here and put my tally mark here. And you can see we're doing this in pairs. 25 here and 25 here and 25 here and 25 here. So far, each person's equally splitting 75 cents. 25 here, 25 here. Now each person has $1. 25 here, 25 here, 25 here, 25 here. Okay, these last two, 25 here and 25 here. And so you can see each person has 7 quarters or 7 fourths. And so if I were to say how much money is this, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters is $1. This 5th quarter is $1.25, $1.50 for this one, and $1.75, or 1 and 3 fourths. And this one is also, count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I made 2 identical groups, 1 and 3 fourths of $1. So each person is going to get $1.75 when you split $3.50 by 2 people. And you can see why this is somewhat confusing. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of steps. It takes a very long time. So how can we simplify the process? Well, let's take the same problem and use our method that we learned last week, or last lesson. I'm sorry, not last week. And again, we're taking 3 1/2, and we are dividing it into 2 groups. So 2 times 3 wholes, or 1/2 times 3 wholes, plus 1/2 is going to equal 7 halves. And we did this again by taking 2 times 3 plus 1. We work it around this way. Okay. Then we take our division and use the inverse operation of multiplication. And we take 2, and we have to make 2 into a reciprocal. So first we have to rename 2. And we're going to rename 2 as an improper fraction, 2 over 1, because 2 divided by 1 is 2. So I'm just renaming it as 2. I'm going to box that in because I always box in my second fraction, and then I take the reciprocal. So the numerator becomes the denominator, and the denominator becomes the numerator. So now I have 7 over 2 multiplied by 1/2. And again, this is just a way of renaming the amounts that I have, which is why I showed you the first method where we had all of our money drawn out. So I'm going to take 7 over 2 times 1/2. And strangely enough, I get 7 over 4, which is the same as what we were doing earlier. And that is going to equal 7 divided by 4 is 1, remainder 3, keep my denominator of 4. And so basically what we've done here is we've used this method right here and these steps right here to take all of this work that we did up here and turn it into a number sentence that is much easier to use when trying to find the answer.